This is the Commodities and Recycling Report, brought to you by BENLEE, the industry leader in roll-off trailers and open-top scrap trailers, as well as Raleigh and Goldsboro Metal Recycling, the leaders in North Carolina for scrap metal, cardboard, electronics, and junk cars. This is Monday, April 13, 2015. My name is Greg Brown, President and CEO of the companies. Last week was Ferrous Trading Week. It was uneventful in that there was little change anywhere. In talking to people, most prices were sideways, with a few people saying prices were slightly up, and others said slightly down. We heard in the Midwest that there were some people struggling to sell all their material, though. Steel production in the U.S. remains terribly depressed, as it has been for the past 2 months, and hit a new multi-year low last week. With the U.S. dollar continuing to be very strong versus the euro, and with little growth in the European economy, there is little to reduce the flow of European scrap and European finished steel goods from coming to the U.S. Also, if last week's announcement of a political deal with Iran turns into a real deal, it means Iran will be able to bring more oil to the market, which will keep pressure on oil prices. That will further hurt U.S. drilling rates, which will hurt steel production and therefore hurt steel scrap prices. As for steel used in oil drilling rigs, oil prices remained low last week. U.S. crude inventories reported their largest weekly increase in 14 years, making this the 13th week in a row of increases. U.S. gasoline stock levels hit their seasonally adjusted highest level since record-keeping began. This will help consumer spending but lower oil prices, which is hurting steel prices with lack of demand for drilling. The lower prices continue to cause the oil drilling rig count to decline, which is now a huge 53% lower than it was in October 2014. Copper held its own last week and had little change, with no global economic news to make anything happen. Aluminum prices declined slightly for last week to new multi-year lows. On the positive side, Alcoa released their earnings and said that aluminum for commercial trucks is a high-growth market. Related last week, there are also reports of Chrysler and GM following Ford adding major amounts of aluminum to their vehicles to get weight out of the vehicles in order to get higher gas mileage. There were no changes in our copper prices last week in North Carolina, with our copper in #1 in Raleigh being purchased for $2.36 a pound. Prepared steel is still being purchased for $6.25 per 100 pounds. Lastly, if you are still on the fence and have not decided to go to Vancouver, Canada next week for the annual ISRI meeting, book your flights and come. It will be the only place where in one day you can meet every executive from every equipment and service company for the industry. It is also a great place to network. Related, we will be on a panel discussing metal theft from scrapyards, which remains a major problem in the industry. With that, we hope all have a safe and profitable week. Tune in next week for the Commodities and Recycling Report. This is Greg Brown. Have a great week.